Hello and welcome to Holistic Circle podcast, Spiritual Conversation. My name is Philipp Kobald. We are reaching out to people who are passionate about spreading light, love, and joy. And I'm happy to have here a colleague podcast, Kerie Logan. Hello, Kerie.
Hello, Philipp, and nice to chat with you today.
I know you're a lot more than a podcaster, but for me, most importantly, you're a colleague.
Yes.
All right. I usually start the podcast with inviting my guests, for people who are new and might maybe not have met you and don't know your background, to make a small introduction before I can start with my cunningly interesting questions.
So my name is Kerie Logan. It's spelled Kerie, and I am a clinical certified hypnotherapist. I am trained in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I'm a mental health professional, trauma-informed, author, podcaster, blogger, and I also teach human consciousness, helping people get unstuck when they can't see how to get out of it. So a better way to put it is people call me the pinhole of light. I take my flashlight, I put it in your darkness and see what's holding you back. Is it bitterness? Is it anger? Is it shame? Is it guilt? Salvation attitude, what is it? So that's kind of me in a nutshell of what I do.
Oh, wow. That's like a lot of things I already love very much. And that's a good boost to get this conversation going. And I can maybe brag a little bit. I hardly ever have chance to brag on my own podcast, but I think I'm at least at the time, the youngest NLP master Europe ever had.
Awesome. And NLP is so fabulous. I use it all the time. All the time.
I was barely 19.
Wow.
I never get a chance to brag about something, and finally you gave me the opportunity.
See? So kudos.
Well, but let me start with the first thing that resonates with me. Let's see if I understood you correctly, because that would be a thrill of a conversation when you said about all of these things that holding us back, if it's guilt or envy and all of these things. Could it be that this is somewhat connected with the Christian faith and with these original sins that are embedded? Because the list sounds eerily familiar.
Yes, you actually could say it is. And let me show you what it would look like. I have it right over here. So I'm an empath and I'm intuitive and I channel. The first book that I wrote, I actually woke up one day and was told, you're going to write this book. Here's the table of contents. Go to your computer and start typing. And when I got to chapter 2, I learned about the power of our emotions. And so this is a chart like I channeled, and this explains 3D human consciousness. And I have 3 images that are free on the website, Master the Upper Rooms, but it looks like this. And all of our emotions and thoughts have a vibrational set point. And so the lowest one is shame, humiliation, suicidal thoughts. Then there's guilt, remorse. But as you were talking, I don't have to go through the whole list, but yes, that's where all our sins are. It all exists in 3D human consciousness. Revenge, greed, power hungry, lust, all of that is down there. And when you think about what, I don't want to get weird, but when you think about what Jesus was trying to do, he was literally trying to get all of us to align with 5D human consciousness, which is this chart here. And the very first one is unconditional love. Can you unconditionally love your enemy? Can you unconditionally love yourself? And it really focuses on you becoming what you seek in other people. If you seek peace, you become a peaceful human being. If you seek enlightenment, then you embody that. And so that's why in 2003, I woke up one day and I was told, you're going to teach this class, human consciousness to help people achieve the ascension process. And this is how they do it. They master each step, each level of human consciousness. for yourself and with others. And if you listen to anyone that channels nowadays, that's what all the higher dimensional beings are saying, is the only way to achieve the ascension process is through consciousness.
Right. First of all, I'm so happy because this hardly ever comes up. I've done 100 podcasts almost this year. And this is, interestingly enough, a subject that has never been raised, which I find rather curious, because this is like a 2,000-year-old basic guide to self-improvement.
Yes.
And I'm basically non-religious, but nevertheless, I take that very serious. And the information, I think if for 2,000 years I've read the book, there must be something in it worth reading. And here we have this wonderful concept that seems to have fallen out of time. And now you come and get a divine message that basically, again, follows that message was given over and over since 2,000 years. So there's clearly something in it.
There clearly is, because the first step of 4D human consciousness is courage. The courage to do something differently. And let's be honest here, when we all get angry, everyone says to you, calm down, get grounded and balanced, because you cannot solve a problem in that state of mind of anger, because you're going to sabotage yourself. You're going to make a horrible mistake. But when you rise up to the frequency of 200 and 250, that's where you can solve your problems. Your mind is clear. You are balanced. You are centered. But you can make a good, healthy choice instead of a destructive choice.
Well, probably I'll ask a stupid question right from the start, but how can it be 2,000 years later and we're still we're chewing the same shoe? How is it possible that it took us such a long time to learn these things? Why is it so hard?
That's a really tough question, and I do not want to bash religion, but in some way I have to bash religion. So if you're religious, forgive me for saying this, but religion is a business. It is a business one, and they should have been teaching this stuff to people. They really should have, because the problem is you go to church, you listen to a great sermon and everything, but a lot of people don't apply it to their lives. They're really not following the teachings. And the thing is a lot of the stuff that is written doesn't work for us now, or people can't comprehend it or understand it. And so really what they should be, doing is helping people understand of how to forgive. How can you forgive the unforgivable? How can you accept everyone for who they are instead of having expectations or rigid beliefs? And actually, I'll share something about me, Philipp, that you don't know. And I just came out this year to share, but I'm the author of The Undetected Narcissist. I'm Angela Meyer. And I have a podcast that I just started season 4 of The Undetected Narcissist. But I'm doing an episode of how to forgive the unforgivable. And I tell you exactly what I did, how you can do it. I tell you how I was able to accept people for who and what they are. And the best way that I can describe it for your listeners is I call it seeds blowing in the wind. So when I'm around a toxic person, I make sure that I'm grounded and balanced. I make sure that I am literally in 4D human consciousness, in that vibrational state. And when they say something that is mean or rude or triggering, I let it blow on by, like a seed blowing on by. Because here's what happens. When we get triggered and we grab that seed, the only person that waters it is us. We water it with our thoughts. Like, how dare they? How, I'm mad at them. I'm angry at them. And we water it, and it grows roots and it festers and it causes dis-ease within the body. It does. And, it's like our mental garden, when you think about it, is it full of weeds or is it full of, life and plants that are thriving and is doing really well? You got to think about it. And so I tell people, you can, when you think about a river, you're the water flowing, and you are going to encounter a boulder and a rock along your journey. You got to just realize that rock exists there for a purpose, and that rock might be your teacher. So learn the lessons you need to learn and then just flow on by, keep going down the stream. But a lot of times we get stuck and we want to destroy that boulder. We want to blow it into bits. And you can't do that. That's all what you call, 3D human consciousness. It is those deadly sins. And what we're really meant to be teaching is that you can recognize it for what it is. You can bless it, learn the lessons you need to learn, and keep moving on.
I think almost everybody will agree with you. As we said, it's just very hard to do. And I guess this is
Yes.
where you come in, that you try to help, give guidelines. So maybe I should know more about you in this sense, as you point out. So do you work with people also one-on-one, or you just work through your books or courses? How concretely do you help people so to work on the same next questions, basically?
I work more one-on-one because everybody has their own personal story. I mean, when someone is angry, the first thing they do is they tell you their pain story. Period. They're out there telling you all their pain. And how you know you're still triggered by someone is if someone mentions their name, you get all reactive. And you're like, he did that to me, or she did this to me, and she's this and he's that. You get all charged with this negative energy. And the beauty of it is once you realize the lessons you were supposed to learn and you forgive that person and the whole situations that were involved, how you know you're complete is when you see that person again, you could care less. They mean nothing to you. It's completely neutral. And to me, it's a huge blessing. I mean, I joke around it's going to actually air next week, the one about how to forgive the unforgivable. But I made the joke of, well, it takes the fun out of it because now you can't be like, oh, that person was a stupid jerk, or my crazy, ex-girlfriend or whatever. All those nasty comments you would make that you thought were funny, it doesn't matter anymore. They don't matter anymore because you did it for you. You didn't do it for them. You did it for you. And I tell you exactly how I did it, the words that I used, and how I broke it down.
And basically, it's all point on the theory that once we engage in those sins or in those negative behavior, whatever the wording we might use here, the biblical word or the psychological wording or neuroscientific wording, I mean, there's just different wording explaining a certain condition where we indulge in anger. It is not only something negative, it's also something pleasurable. It's an odd thing, but ultimately toxic for us. That is, unfortunately, it makes us feel good. Hating someone can be a great motivator, can be a great energizer. We love to hate someone sometimes. It's the Italian saying. I mean, you can have a lot of good friends, but it's very hard to have a real good enemy. That's what I think.
Yeah, and it gets to a point where it's like, if it's ruining your day and just preventing you from true happiness, is it really, really worth it? At the end of the day. And because the thing is we then end up building walls to protect us, walls to keep us safe, walls to deal with other people. And we can have layers and layers and layers of walls. And then there comes a point where you're not in that chaotic situation anymore, but the wall still exists.
Have you encountered that people are so entangled in it that they don't even see this phenomena, that they need a person, outside person like you, to point out that they're stuck in a rut, that they're basically spinning and spinning the thoughts without even having the possibility, the view from above, to realize that they are in this spiral?
Oh yeah, I do it all the time, and it's The best way to put it is one guy said when he came to see me, he said, I thought I was going to have a nice coffee conversation with you, but in 10 minutes, you took me to the deep end of the ocean. How do you do that? He's just like, you completely just called me out on all my stuff. And you did it in a way where I didn't shame him or humiliate him. I was just like, this is your misery. This is your pain. You know, you're unhappy with this. Wouldn't you like to feel better? You know, wouldn't you like to feel better? Don't you want a sense of relief? And this is why you're here. This is why you're paying me. And what you're paying me for is to help you see what you can't see. So a good example of that guy I'm talking about, he was ready to file bankruptcy. And the problem that he had was he grew up from a background of having like just feasting all the time. His mom lost a job, and then it came to getting food boxes, waiting in line for food. So as he grew up, he ended up acquiring a lot of wealth, but then he would use it to show his family members, look at me, I'm important, I'm successful. But it was causing him so much harm. So a good example I threw out to him is I said, dude, you make more money than me. And there's no way I would fly my niece to Las Vegas to watch Usher in concert, you know, and be in Las Vegas for 3 days. You paid for the airfare, the hotel, the concert tickets, the meals, everything. That's luxury. That's lavish. You don't need that kind of approval from your family. I mean, no wonder why whenever someone needs money, they go to you, but you're not telling them that you're ready to file bankruptcy. You're pretending to be someone that you're not. And even if you have that money, you don't have to be that lavish. You know, I have a t-shirt, Philipp, that says, for Christmas, I am the gift. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a physical gift. Just the presence of me is the gift. And not many people, you know, are like, oh, you're the gift. It's like, yes, my presence is the gift.
Don't show it to my daughter, but otherwise it's fine. She might get physical.
That's right. I want a gift.
But that's okay. So we are ready. And I think I could say the same. You're already jumping our conversation right in the deep end. That's, of course, amazing. This is perfect. So I guess first observation, that's something that's always fascinating me, that people need to hit the wall or need to hit almost bankruptcy, need to hit these moments where this cry for help just comes to an effect where people know I cannot continue any longer. I have to confront myself. I'm always wondering why there are so little people who do the work before it's time to do the work. But I guess that's part of who we humans are, I guess.
Yes, because we're stuck in fear.
Ah,
A lot of times we're stuck in fear. We're afraid to change. We have the fear of the unknown. I mean, there's a list of things people can be fearful of. And I was in the same exact boat many, many years ago. And I mean, there was a position in my life where I was almost going to be homeless. And I mean, literally homeless. And I had to make a really tough decision to switch careers, switch jobs. And I'm really thankful and glad I did, that I took the person's advice, because when 9/11 happened, the economy here in Oregon just tanked. It got so bad. I ran out of my second round of unemployment benefits, and yeah, I was going to be homeless. And I went to a friend that gave me a reading, and she said, you've done everything you need to do here. The perfect job is waiting for you in California, and it will be handed to you. And like most people, I didn't want to believe her because I was stuck in fear, because I was a single parent, not getting child support. I was like, I can't afford to live there. She's like, no, what you're meant to do is there. And I had to take that blind faith and travel down there. And a week later, I got the job, you know, and it was handed to me, literally handed to me. And so That's the hard, and that took courage. That's what I'm talking about. I had to raise up to 4D human consciousness to have the courage to accept that, okay, maybe this woman is right. Maybe I do need to have blind faith and trust. You know, all of that is up in 4D human consciousness. It's not stuck down in fear. I had to get out of my head and really trust that someone up above was watching over me and taking care of me.
Yes. I'm sorry if I'm bringing the podcast in a slightly awkward direction, but I had a little bit of a podcast marathon the last 10 days behind me. So many thoughts spiraling through my mind. And I'm getting really fascinated. I'm coming back to the beginning of our conversation. We have the knowledge for 2,000 years now lying on the table. We've got it. We know it all. There is no novelty in anything. We're using different phrasing. We maybe learned more about psychic. We know a lot more, but by the end of the day, this basic human tragedy, those basic things that are blocking us, and the basic concept of fear and all of it is just written for 2,000 years. I'm getting more and more intrigued and fascinated by our inability to move forward, to change, and this is something that's starting to haunt me in my sleep. What is the seed within us? Is it meant to be like this? Is this means to be a human? To be stuck in this, or is just the time hasn't come where we can create this new millennia where people can finally move on and find new problems, for crying out loud. It's 2,000 years the same problem. It's a bit much.
It is a bit much, and that's why I say great chaos creates great change. And it is true, a lot of people will not change until they hit rock bottom. And I wish. Yeah.
So sorry, I'm. That's exactly why I wanted to have this question. Sorry, my introduction was a bit long. You said you had the divine knowledge, you got the calling and the message to write the book. So you had all of these visions, and there's obviously a lot going on right now. I had the other day a fitness instructor who's starting to get divine messages during fitness training, and just during the fitness workout, he's just suddenly giving people divine messages. And so it's starting to joke. Maybe we're going to have the clairvoyant hairdressers, clairvoyant plumbers. And then I was thinking, why not? Why is this not our next path forward? Why is this not our way to finally accept on a society level, like you've got this insane message to just go to a different state and be brave and make this leap of faith, and you got so much rewarded for it. So that in itself is a valuable conversation that we need to come together. And I would like to hear your thoughts, how society now needs to evolve to finally integrate, again, these messages in a modern setting.
So a lot of people want to develop their intuition, their psychic abilities. They want those divine messages. And everybody has access to it. Everybody. You've got to get yourself out of the 3D consciousness range and up into 4D, okay? Because when you're there, that's when your higher self, your spirit, and even God can talk to you. They can't communicate with you down there because it's such a dense, low vibrational energy. You've got to raise yourself up. You've got to at least be neutral, okay? You got to be content. And that's the same thing about solving problems. If you want to talk about heaven and hell, when you're down in 3D human consciousness, that voice that's going to talk to you is your wounded ego, the fearful ego that tells you, no, that's impossible. No, that person doesn't deserve to be forgiven. No, that person is this, and this. You're going to hear all this negative chatter. But when you raise yourself up to where you're just neutral, that's when you have divine grace. That's when it talks to you. And the more you master your levels of consciousness, because in the range of 4D human consciousness, let me see where the chart is. It looks like this. It's where you are optimistic, you trust, you're passionate, you're hopeful, you're inspiring, you accept people for who you are. There's equality. there is forgiveness, there's reason and understanding. And so what I say is all the solutions to all your 3D problems are up in 4D human consciousness. All the solutions are there. So what I do is I figure out, where is your set point? Where are you stuck in 3D? And how can I shift your consciousness to get you up higher? How can I do that? How can I achieve that? And so really what that guy was doing is he has mastered optimism and self-acceptance and wisdom and understanding. And so when you get up into the 5D consciousness realms, you literally get messages from your creator, because when you are full of joy and you feel complete with your life, you are literally one with the creator. And all of this, Philipp, which this was the amazing truth, is after I wrote that section in the book, I was guided to go online that there was science, clinical science and medical science that backed this information. Because I was like, this is fascinating. And I discovered Dr. David Hawkins' work. He did the map of human consciousness. He did, I think for 20 years, he did all the research of muscle testing, the different vibrations. And I was so fascinated because everything I channeled lined up with his work. And I wanted to contact him and tell him, do you know what you discovered? Because this literally is what you call the path to the kingdom of heaven. And I'm not a religious person. I'm 100% spiritual. But the problem is he died that same year. And so all I was told from up above is just have everyone you work with align to the frequency of love, unconditional love. Have them find ways to do that. And as soon as I started doing that work, following their guidance and listening to them, people had profound changes in their lives. I mean, profound. I even had the owner of lifecoachspotter.com. He started a website back in 2012, I think it was. And after he had 100 coaches on there, he contacted me and he said, I've talked to everybody, and there's something different about you. I don't know what it is about you, but you're doing something different, and everyone says you're amazing. They don't have to come back for 3 or 6 sessions. You get them like that. And he said, I want to make a proposal to you. If you coach me for 6 months, I will give you every single client that comes in. And so I did. I took his offer. And in 6 months, he did so well in all areas of life, especially money, where he was able to put all his stuff in storage and travel the world for a year with his wife. Yeah, he did that well. And then I coached his wife one time, and this is where we talk about, you think you're coming in for one thing, but they have something else. So she wanted to talk about, I forget what it was, but I told her, I need to tell you that there's these 2 babies that want to come in, and your job isn't allowing it. Your job is holding you back, and you have to make a choice. What do you want? Do you want a family, or is this job more important to you? Because that's what I'm getting. And she was like, oh my God, I've been thinking about that over and over and over. I hate my job. Yes, I want a family. We've talked about having kids, but in my career as an accountant, I can't do it. It's too stressful, too many long hours. And it blew her mind. But yes, now they have 2 wonderful kids.
Yeah. Of course, this is an amazing story, and everybody, I guess, I mean, you're anyway so flooded with fit emails. I'm almost worried after this podcast that we 100 more, because I cannot imagine anybody who don't want to work with you. So I don't even need to put this on the screen, because it just sounds exactly what everybody wants and everybody needs. But before we go to the miracles that you can make, I'm just back of my head. Did you ever go back to that tarot reader in Ohio? Did you ever thank her? Are you stayed in contact? Is there still some connection?
I did. I as soon as I told her, my experience, she was like, see, you have to have more faith. I have to have more trust. And that was the hard part, is like a lot of us, we get stuck in fear. We second guess ourselves. We wonder, is it even possible? I mean, I did a YouTube video, and even though I got that job as a hypnotherapist and I was doing so great, it was in 2004. They gave me an award at Positive Changes Hypnosis as being, the best, coach of the year. But the day before Thanksgiving, I got in a disagreement with the owner's sister, and I went to my manager and I said, I think she's getting me fired. And she said, actually, she is, and here's your final paycheck. And I looked at her and I'm like, how can you do this? It's the day before Thanksgiving. I'm a single mom. I got 3 months of clients booked with you guys. I'm the best one here. How can you do this? And she said, she's family and you're not. So you got to go. And so that night I went home and I prayed and I was like, God, if this is my calling, what I'm meant to do, everyone says is what I'm meant to do. Give me a sign that is so clear I can't mistake it. Because I don't want to be stuck in fear and I want to do this. I love what I do and I know this is my purpose. And so after I finished praying, I left that woman a voicemail and I thanked her for firing me. And I said, I'm going to look back at this as a blessing in disguise. So thank you. I have no animosity or anger towards you at all. Thank you. That very next day, a client that became a friend was planning to come over for Thanksgiving anyway. And she had a card and she said, I'm so sorry what they did to you. And I've been sitting on this nest egg and something inside me says, you need this more than I do. So I want to give this to you, no strings attached. And inside the Thanksgiving card was a check for $10,000. She said, I want you to start your own business. Yeah. And what was so fascinating is my district manager, which was one of the brothers that started that whole franchise, he said, Kerie, you were so dedicated to us, the universe had to kick you in the butt because you wouldn't have willingly left on your own. And he was true. He was completely true. And so I had to, again, have blind faith that something else was taking care of me and watching over me.
I think that, again, so many people are dreaming from this blind faith. I think so many people are almost jealous now.
They can be. But the thing is in the book that I wrote, Affirming and Focusing on Living a Better Life, I used to teach a law of attraction class for 2 years. And I got tired of teaching it. And I said, I want to do a mastermind class. I want to do it. I don't want to teach it anymore. Let's do it. And in 10 months, I personally manifested over 22 things my heart desired. Over 22 things. And I tell you exactly how I did it, how I aligned to it. And when it's money, I never, ever focus on the money. I always focus on the end result. Because here's the magic, Philipp. How we manifest is 5D human consciousness. You've got to, what I do is when it's money, I only focus on how I'm going to feel in that end result. I coached one woman so well. She's actually on the Gaia channel. She's worked with royalty. She wanted to attract an investor, and she did. I literally helped her attract an investor, and he gave her, over an 18-month period, $9.8 million. And it was this whole technique. You align with 5D human consciousness. Every time you doubt yourself, you question yourself, or you second guess, you stop immediately and you focus on the end result. You're filled with joy, happiness, love, appreciation, gratitude. You feel it, you embody it, it is a part of you. Because our thoughts and feelings have so much power. So much power.
And how you see this connection here and the specific element with this manifestation. So do you rather lean to the idea that is preconditioning yourself that creates the vibration that invites those things to happen? Or you more see there's like an outside, a spiritual, that you manifest it outwards and the universe is helping you to make it happen? To where you are in this fundamental question of spirituality?
I look at it as I'm embodying it. I'm becoming it. And I'm magnituding it out. I'm literally sending it out. Think about it as I become the lighthouse. And I'm sending the signal out, and I'm sending the signal out. And then the universe picks up my signal and it answers it. We get what we think. We create our own reality.
Right. Because, that's a fundamental discussion that so many people have. And it's very good that you clarified it, because that's important, I guess, for a lot of people who are looking to work with you, to see that you really believe in their empowerment and their possibility to make this calling and to basically be the master of their own mind, so to say.
Yes, and their own life. Because the thing is we can be satisfied and content without so much greed, without so much lust, without so much power. There is so many people around this world that have billions, trillions of dollars. Are they doing it to help feed the homeless? What are they really doing with that money? And the people that they're associating with, are you associating with like-minded people? Or are you associating with people that are still stuck in more greed, more this, more that? Because when we all die, you can't take any of that wealth with you. You can't.
Right. Some people might suggest knowledge and experience and personal growth you can take to the next life, but that's as far as it goes.
It is. And so you can, if you if you're living a life that you're satisfied with, that's more important than living a life that you're miserable and you hate your job and you don't like anything. That's not living. That's just existing.
Right. So let's now, we talked already a lot about your book and your work and the things you're doing. Basically, now is the time in my mind to go into it, but you introduced so much and different steps and the ways. So I guess you explained that the people come to you, they reach out, they're stuck, they found the problem, they need some new way. And so how long does it usually take? You talked about 6 months. Is that a program time that for you is average? I'm always interested in these technicalities. I'm, German. What can I tell you?
Well, actually, you can have it sometimes in 30 days, that
Wow.
quick. Like I worked with one woman that wanted to get pregnant, and I actually did a podcast episode about it on Master the Upper Rooms. But she wanted to get pregnant, and for a year and a half, she was doing hormone treatments, IVF, the whole thing. And she's like, I don't know if it's possible I could have a kid. We've tested my husband's sperm, he's fine and all of that. And I said to her, this is where you're stuck. And I explained where she was stuck in 3D human consciousness. I said, you're not making love. You made sex a job. And this child wants to come in as 3D, not 3D human consciousness, but 4D. It wants to be loved unconditionally. It wants all of that. And so I told her what we need to do is, and I always record everything. That's the key thing, is I record it. So the pre-talk is so important, is I tell them this is why you're stuck and this is what I'm going to do. And so what I did was I got her unstuck and then I said, we're going to fill your womb with lots of love, nurturing, warm environment. And then you're going to talk to the baby and you're going to apologize. And I do the approach of the Ho'oponopono, where I say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was trying to create you coming from a place of force. And I should have allowed you to come in whenever you were ready. Please forgive me. I'm sorry about that. I love you. And I broke that all down in the recording. And then I had her imagine the day that she's holding the baby. She's in the hospital or at home, wherever you are, but you're holding that baby and see the light in its eyes and the love emanating from it. And you're so full of gratitude and appreciation and satisfaction. All of that. And so I recorded it for her on my mic and I emailed her the audio file. I said, listen to it for 30 days. Just do it every day. Listen to it for 30 days. You're sending out those rockets. You're sending out that signal. And then sit back and see what happens. Just let it go. and see what happens. Well, she got pregnant 30 days later. And actually in April, she had a baby girl. Yeah.
So do you think you have this gift, you have this blessing, you have all the knowledge? Is this something that you think you could teach others to do as well? Or you think it's your unique setting that makes these things happen? Or you think if you just study the book very well, you could do it on your own? Where do you see this reality?
Well, actually, when I had a huge spiritual awakening in 2003, I was shown that, yes, this should be taught everywhere. It actually should be taught in churches. It should be taught everywhere because anyone can do it. Anybody can do it. All you have to do is print the images out, figure out, like, let's say with your daughter, if there's a one day your daughter's stuck in a rut, she's mad at a friend or something like that, figure out where she's stuck in 3D and look at the chart of 4D. What can I do to have her catch on to courage to where she can maybe forgive her friend? Or maybe we can find reasoning and understanding of why did this happen? And why are you in this situation? And how can you look at it differently? How? Because here's the truth, Philip. Kids have this ability, but when they get older and they have more life experiences, we get harder and we get more bitter and we get more resentment. Because when kids are little, we see them playing with one another. And when they have a fight, they are like you, I hate you, you're not my friend anymore. And they go off and they sulk. But they always come back because they realize, I love that person. I want to play with that person. That person's my friend. And they find forgiveness. And they go back and they apologize. And they say, I want to still play with you. I still want to be your friend. Can we, and we see them do that. And we love that ability that little kids have. But as we get older, we get so much junk stimuli coming in that makes us build all these walls to where we're like, no, I'm not going to forgive you. No, you're not my friend anymore. And the thing is you can realize that friendship has ended, but you can say it in a nice way. You could be like, look, I really love you as a person, as a friend, but right now I'm moving in a different direction. And this relationship isn't healthy for us anymore. And I wish you the highest and the best. Maybe you need to get into counseling. Maybe you need some therapy because your family is just destroying your life. But I'm a kid. I'm a teenager. It's not my job to try to fix your problems because that's what kids do is they form trauma bonding relationships with other kids. And they bitch and they complain about how dysfunctional their family is or this and that. And they're trying to help each other, but at the same time, they're keeping themselves stuck. They don't have the tools and resources to get unstuck. So that's why, if you are a therapist, I tell people, use these charts. It's completely free. It was divinely given to me. And when I use it with people, it blows their mind. I mean, I can get someone unstuck in 10 or 20 minutes and they're like, how did you do that? How did you just do this? And I said, well, I listened to you and then I listen to them and I figure out, what do you need next?
I think you said something that really resonated with me in the last couple of minutes that really kind of maybe lightened up in my head as an information set. We get hardened. And I think
Yes.
there is maybe the whole truth of those last 2000 years tragedy that life is hard, life is difficult, and we need to step up to this life. And we think the solution to treat this hardness of its harvest as farmers or whatever situation, we think we need to toughen up to deal with the hardness of existence. And it makes, I guess, a lot of sense. But the problem is that also our spirituality, our openness, all of it gets hardened as well. So maybe that is some kind of microscopic answer why we haven't solved our problem in the last 2000 years, because life is hard. And obviously we cannot keep the childish wonder, the flexibility, all the yoga movement and vibration and all of that we should, the agility that is in our body and in our mind, to be still able to forgive, and all of these things that you're talking about, that we are just toughening it up too much.
Well, we need to when our walls no longer serve us, we need to dismantle them, because they literally will hold you back. They'll prevent you from letting even the good stuff in. It's like
That's it.
we see movies, there are scenarios where you meet someone that's really nice and really kind, and you second guess them. You're so guarded, you're so hyper vigilant. Like, oh, they're too nice. They have a hidden agenda. And a lot of times some people don't. But it's that wall that's speaking to you. And it's like you end up having this tug of war between what does your heart want and what this wall is still serving.
So they always say that the magic of a therapist is to give people safety and security in the space, to hold the safe space, to trust again, to open again, to accept this universal knowledge that you're giving it. And obviously you have a fantastic gift to make people feel safe, to make this leap of faith, to have the authority and the trust to make this transition. And obviously that is the reason why you're such a renowned therapist, because you obviously can instill with people this wonderful trust, and that is a gift on its own.
Well, maybe that wall is here to teach you a lesson, which could be, I need to set healthy boundaries. That's why the wall came up, because I wasn't setting healthy boundaries. Maybe I need to find my voice and stand up for myself. Maybe I need more self-confidence and more self-esteem. I'm not stupid. I'm not inadequate. I am good enough. I do matter. Because that's how our wounds start and the walls build. But as we get older, we've got to look at it as why that wall served a purpose. And what was the lesson that wall was trying to teach me that I couldn't see at the time? Maybe I needed to have more faith. Maybe I needed to believe in me. Maybe I needed to respect myself and stop settling for less. Maybe I was a people pleaser. Maybe I was codependent. What was it? And don't shame yourself when you get that aha moment. Show gratitude and appreciation, because that's the light out of the darkness. That's
Kerie,
the truth.
Sorry, Kerie,
I said,
it was
that's the truth.
yes, it was such a inspiring conversation, and I think there was already like too much to process in those little minutes that we had. But you really show a way forward. You show a universal way forward. You're connecting old with new, and you're bringing it down, and you're giving for free the charts that we will put all the links and information, of course, in our YouTube video, so everybody can learn, everybody can prosper from the divine information that you've been given and you've been shared. And I hope that it came across to the people, and it came across to me, so I'm sure it came across to the audience that we all need to let our guards down again and learn to trust and learn to believe in ourselves and in others. Thank you so much. It was really an inspiring conversation.
Thank you, Philipp. I truly appreciate you. And if anyone wants a free consultation, I do offer a free 15-minute consultation for people. It can be over the phone, it could be on Zoom. But if you feel like I can help you, great. There's just see.
Wow, the line's gonna be busy now. Thank you so very much. It
Thank
was
you,
a
Philipp.
real pleasure, and I think I learned a lot.
All right. Have a blessed day. Bye.